Hello! Welcome to English for Everyone, where we practice real-life American English. Today we're going to learn some important structure when we use a gerund after to. So let's get started. Most of the time, if there's a verb after to, we use it in the simple form. Example, I need to go. I want to eat. After to, we use a simple verb. Most of the time. But sometimes we don't. Sometimes after to, we use a gerund. For example, if you say from and to, we use a gerund after from, and we use a gerund after to. And today I'm going to tell a story. I'm going to tell a story about a big mistake that Coca-Cola made. Back in the 80s, they changed their formula. They took away Coca-Cola and they made this new drink called New Coke. And everybody hated it. Nobody liked it. And you couldn't buy regular Coca-Cola. So they went from selling a lot to selling a little. We see after from, we use a gerund. They went from selling a lot to selling a little. With this structure, we have to use a gerund after to. And the verb is go in the past. Again, they went from selling a lot to selling a little because nobody liked the new Coke. People were angry. They were angry because they couldn't buy their Coke, their regular Coca-Cola. People were angry. They hated Coca-Cola. So another example, they went from being popular to being hated. After from, we use a gerund. They went from being popular. We see be as a gerund with ing, being. Pronunciation, when you have the two E sounds, be, ing, you have a E sound in the middle to link the sounds. Together, being, being. They went from being popular to being hated. Now we see passive voice. Again, being hated. They went from being popular to being hated. Talking about Coca-Cola, using they as a pronoun referring to the company. They went from being popular to being hated. Let's practice. What happened when Coke released their new formula, New Coke, and they took away the old Coke? Did they go from selling a lot to selling a little? That's right, they went from selling a lot to selling a little. Let's practice. Did they go from being popular to being hated? That's right, they went from being popular to being hated. So what happened next? People were angry. They protested. They wrote letters. So what did Coca-Cola do? They released a new product called Coke Classic. It was old Coke. And people call it old Coke, but they called it Coke Classic. So then you could buy New Coke or Coke Classic. You had a choice. And everybody was happy. And then after a few years, New Coke disappeared. And they changed the bottles from Coke Classic to just Coca-Cola, and everything went back to normal, and everybody was happy. Now I can use the verb switch, or go. You can say switch back to, or go back to. In this structure, after to, we have to use a gerund again. So I can say they switched back to their old formula and started selling more. Or I can say go in the past, they went. They went back to selling their old formula and started making money again. Again, after to, we have to use a gerund in this structure. Let's practice. Did they switch back to selling the old formula? That's right, they switched back to selling the old formula. Let's practice with go, in the past went. Did they go back to selling the old formula? That's right, they went back to selling the old formula and started making money again. And if you want to find out why we use a gerund after to, watch the video in the description. Thanks for watching. And if you like this video, subscribe to our channel. And if you want to become a member, click the join button. And we'll see you next time.